Welcome back to Homestead on a Prayer. I'm Jennifer and this is Dan. And as you can see, today we're going to be working in our garden. We're going to be doing a new project today. We're going to be setting up a new trellis for our tomato plants. Now throughout the years we've tried different ways to support our tomato plants and they have different pros and cons. We haven't been fully happy with any of them though, and so we're going to try something new this season. Now I've seen using cattle panels to support your tomato plants is something that's become really popular lately, and that is a great idea. They're very strong and sturdy and they can definitely support your tomato plants as they grow. But the problem is that we don't have a truck, and so it's a little bit trickier for us to transport something as big as a cattle panel. And so today we're going to be trying out an alternative. We found this at Home Depot. This is a roll of welded wire fencing. It is still very sturdy. It's not quite as strong as a cattle panel, and so I probably would not recommend it if you're looking to do like a cattle panel arch between your beds. We do have a couple of those using actual cattle panels. We were able to borrow a friend's truck to transport those to our house. But for this time we decided to try out an alternative so we can let you know how it works. And so this is still sturdy. I think it will still work well for our tomato plants, but definitely feel free to check back with us throughout the season. We're going to be doing updates as we go, and we will let you know if this was a good idea or not.
All right, so what we're using to do this project is I'm using a 3-pound mallet, which is much better to use than a hammer in my opinion. Using a hammer, depending on your soil, can be really frustrating as you try to hammer in the T-posts. So this will make your life a lot easier. Like I said, it's a 3-pound. You might want to go heavier than that depending on your soil. We're also using tin snips to cut the fencing, and we are also going to use zip ties. It's one of our favorite things to use here. Makes your life really easy when you're doing the fencing or the cattle panels. Really holds things together well. And we are using 6-foot T-posts, and that should work really well with our 5-foot tall fencing.
All right, so we're ready to set up our trellis. We're going to be setting it up on this bed here. This bed is about 8 feet long. So we've measured out about a 7-foot length of fencing. So it'll go, you can see that we have the cattle panel trellis on the end of this bed here. So it's gonna go all the way up to that and then almost to the other end of the bed. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put 3 T-posts down the center of this bed to support our fencing. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll grab the fencing and we'll show you what we do.
Right here.
Yep. So you can see here we have 6-foot T-posts. Our fencing is about 5 feet wide, and so we wanted our T-posts to be a little bit taller than the fencing so that we can pound them into the ground. You want it to go into the ground probably at least a foot. Our ground is pretty soft here, and so we're going to try to put them in about as far as we can. And then you'll see when we attach our fencing, it's actually going to be elevated off the bottom of the T-post a little bit, probably about 6 inches or so, and then it'll go above the top of the T-post as well. That's because we anticipate that our tomato plants will probably get pretty tall, and for the first like 6 to 12 inches or so that they grow, they're not going to need support. They won't really need support until they get really tall. So we're just going to just try to elevate them, and we will see how it goes. You just want to test your T-post as you put it in and make sure that it's really secure. Tomato plants can get really heavy, and especially we're planning to put about 6 of them down the length of this bed. We're going to space them fairly closely, and then I'm going to be pretty aggressive about pruning them down to a single stem. So I want you guys to hold me accountable to that. If you see my tomato plants getting out of control later in the season, leave a comment and let me know that I am slacking.
There we go.
I should mention too that if you hear a lot of scratching and leaf crunching in the background, our chickens have come over to visit us. They're right on the other side of our garden fence because they hear us talking. And I'm sure you can hear somebody just laid an egg too, and they're pretty enthusiastic about telling the world about their accomplishments. So Dan's grabbing the fence now, and we're going to go ahead and attach it to the T-posts. We have these zip ties here. You're going to need, these are pretty long. You're going to need pretty long ones to really attach it to the T-posts. So,
Oops. Something like that.
yeah, is that level?
Well, here, let's attach with this side here, and then we can double check it.
All right. So I will say, after working with this, I definitely think cattle panel trellises would be better and more supportive. I think this is probably going to do the trick in a pinch. This is, what did you say it was? Was it 16 gauge wire?
14 gauge.
This is 14 gauge wire. So if you could find one with like 12 or even 10 gauge wire, that would probably be even better. But as I said, definitely check back with us throughout the season, and we'll see how these are holding up to our tomato plants.
I think it's pretty good right here.
All right.
Oh, this wire isn't very stable.
So you just want to put zip ties, a few spots on each T-post. If you have T-post clips, those would probably be even better. But you know us, we like to make do with what we have, and so zip ties it is for today. And now you can see, since we do have the cattle panel trellises on the end, we put the T-post on the end, but we're also attaching this to the trellis as well, just to give it a little bit extra stability. So if you have trellises on the end of your beds, that's definitely a good option to consider. If not, if you do try this and you don't have that, leave a comment as your season goes on and let me know how this does for you. Okay, so we finished up installing 3 new trellises. We're going to be using 2 of them for tomatoes, and the third one is probably going to be for cucumbers, and I'm probably going to sneak a couple more tomatoes onto that one too. And so it was really pretty easy to install these. As far as how they're going to hold up, I don't know yet. This is kind of an experiment, so I will let you know. I'm pretty optimistic. I think they're going to be a good option. But yeah, as I said, if this turns out to be a big mistake and this turns out to be what not to do video, definitely check back to see if that's the case. I think that one person probably could do it alone, but I would definitely say if you have a second person to help you, it is definitely much easier as a 2-person job. So thank you for spending time with us today. We're so thankful that you took time out of your day to hang out with us while we install our new tomato trellises. As I mentioned, we've tried several different trellising options in the past and haven't been completely happy with any of them. So we decided to go ahead and give this one a try, and we hope that you'll follow along with us for our journey, that you'll learn something. Hopefully you'll learn something from our success and not our mistakes, but either way, it's definitely worth sharing and definitely worth learning. So I hope to see you again soon. Check back and we'll let you know how our tomatoes are doing. Bye, we'll see you next time.